Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to do body work on these bare steel wheel skirts that I stripped down yesterday. And we're going to use the body filler that I have that is recommended to go over bare metal. We're going to fix the spots that we see. And then we are going to put them in the spray booth. We are going to spray a coat of epoxy primer over the whole panel, the metal and the body work, one coat. We'll let it dry for 30 minutes and then we'll put on 3 coats of 2K filler primer. Also with this today, I'd like to sand down the other set of wheel skirts that are already in primer. I know I missed a ding or two on those, so there's a little bit more body work to do on that. And also want to block sand down that door that we had stripped to bare metal. And do any more body work that we need to do to that. So let me get set up here and we will get some filler spread onto these panels here. Okay, I got some filler mixed up. If you see on these panels, I circled areas that I felt that needed work. So now we're just going to put a little bit of filler on them and we'll let them set up. While the filler is setting up on these, I'll move these out of the way and I'll bring that door out and we'll start block sanding down that door with some guide coat and we'll see how that looks. It's sometimes hard to find all your dings and dents when it's bare metal. Feel around the best you can. It's not a huge problem if you miss some. You'll find it when you do your first guide coating on your filler primer. I always sand and filler prime everything twice. I just think that's the way to go. Don't worry if you have a panel with holes in it and your filler gets into the holes. So all you gotta do is just take a drill bit, clean the holes out afterwards. These are in pretty good shape. 2 of these dents were a little bit bigger. I just hammer and dollied them out from the backside. I should have videoed it, but I didn't. Like I said, this filler right here is made, it says over bare metal. So I'm not worried about it. I do it like this all the time. But like I said, I do put epoxy primer on it before my 2K primer because the 2K primer does not recommend going over bare metal. So you got to make sure you read all that stuff when you buy it. See, I missed a dent right there. Okay, we're gonna let these dry. While these are drying, I'm gonna go grab that door. We'll put that on the stand and we will start guide coating and block sanding it. Okay, let's get some guide coat on here. I might break this video up into 2. I'm not sure yet. If I just do all the body work and then do the primering on a second video, I'm not sure yet. We'll see how long this takes. Right off the bat, I can feel a little bit of a weird dip up here when I'm using this pad to put on this guide coat. I'm sure I missed some stuff, which is good because then it'll kind of show you guys how this stuff sticks in the areas you missed. Just get it on here real good. can't get this in a spray can. I just always use the powder. This car, the color blue that I'm painting it, well, turns out the color's not right. For some reason, PPG is having a hard time getting the color match on this car. So what I'm going to do is continue to paint the rest of this car with the wrong color. So we're going to end up painting the whole car with the wrong color, and then we are going to 320 and 600 wet sand all the panels down, and we will reshoot it with the right color. Now, the reason why I'm going to keep painting is because what I'm going to do is, after the whole car is painted with the wrong color blue, like I said, when I sand it all down and everything, I'm going to use a product called Intercoat Clear. So after I 320 and 600, we will put a coat of Intercoat Clear down, and then we will put the right color teal over top. It's like a tealish blue color. So the old color underneath is still going to show through. I'm not going to use like a gray sealer or anything like that. We'll just use that Intercoat Clear. And then we'll go over it with the right color once hopefully they get a match. I might have to use a different brand than PPG because I spent 2 hours working on it yesterday and still can't get it to match. Luckily, I had an original panel from the car. The problem is the car, when it came, I wasn't sure if it was the right color or not. So when I started painting the new paint, I did notice that it was off a little bit, and I just thought, well, maybe the car was painted last time the wrong color. Turns out my color's wrong. So it is what it is. I mean, it'll just make for a better paint job. I don't know if you guys have ever painted and you've painted a panel twice, how much nicer it turns out the second time around. So it is what it is. Let's get this, start sanding this down here, and we will see how it looks. Remember, don't push really hard. You don't need to. This is a used piece of sandpaper, so we'll see how far it lasts. This is 180 grit. I always like to go on an angle. I'm going to change out that piece of sandpaper, but I just want to show you a quick view here. You can see all the lows still. I just barely went over it. You know, low, you could actually see where the body filler dried, and that's a line in the body filler. So you can see all the low spots, and I just barely started. But just because you see all these spots, and you see this right here, that doesn't mean it won't sand out. There's 3 or 4 coats of 2K primer on here. So let me change out that sandpaper and we'll keep going. Okay, got the sandpaper changed out. Now I've seen people start block sanding with 80 grit on 2K primer. I understand their theory on getting it knocked down fast and flat. I always start with 180 and never had a problem with it. You know, I'll do 180 and then 320 and then reprimer it. Okay, let's take a look here. Okay, I hit Bondo on both sides here, and it's a tiny bit low here. That is really, really small. I'll probably just put a little filler on that. Another little spot here I can probably block out. Here, I'm hitting bare metal. I'm hitting body filler. We need to put a little bit of body filler right here to build this up. Right here is a little bit of a dent. This is gonna need filler. I could just feel that it's gonna need it. I don't think that's gonna block out. Now you can keep sanding and sanding and sanding. Once you hit metal, stop, because you're not gonna be able to go any lower than that. So if you start hitting metal right here, just stop, because no matter what you do, you're never gonna get this out. So this needs a little bit of filler here. I probably can get that out there. I could probably get that out. This around the hole needs a little bit of filler. I know that when I put the molding on, that'll be completely covered and you won't see that. But I know if I don't fix that and I paint this door, for some dumb reason, the metal won't cover that, the trim won't cover that, and then I'll have to fix the door. So it's best to just fix it now and not worry about it later. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep block sanding. I'm gonna get this top lip block sanded, and then I'll come back and show you all the areas that need some filler. So far, it's actually looking really good. Not too many areas. I hit some metal down here, which down here I'm not worried about at all. Now these couple metal spots that I did hit, when we go to epoxy primer those bare metal wheel skirts, we'll just hit the areas that are bare metal. We'll just do a little bit of epoxy primer spray around those areas, and then we'll hit everything with 2K primer. So I'm gonna pause this. I'm going to finish sanding the top of that door, and then I'll come back and show you what everything looks like. Okay, it's all blocked down. Got an area here, 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 right here, a little bit there, and a little bit there. We're gonna fill all those in. Now, I'm gonna take a piece of 80 grit. Let me grab it. All right, I have a piece of 80 grit, and I like to just roughen up the areas that need filler. Then also, once you clean it off, you can see those areas at. So basically, if you sand the other direction that you've been doing all your block sanding in, you'll be able to see the spots so you don't miss putting some filler on them. Because you want to scuff these so that the filler has something to stick to. Because as of right now, inside the dent area, it's just smooth primer. So just go over it real quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause this and mix up some filler. We're probably just gonna use a glazing putty. It's a 2-part putty. I'll show you what it is. I'll grab it real quick. It's made by U-Pull. This stuff works really good. I'm going to take my vacuum real quick and vacuum off these spots that the filler is going to go. I like to just use this little brush attachment here. And just clean it off. And try to remember where your body, your fill areas are so you're not searching for them. But just clean off all around the area and everything real good. You can blow it off with a blow gun too. Okay, we're mixed up here. None of these spots were deep enough to worry about using a heavy filler. This should be more than enough for what we need to do. Now, once we get this spread, I'll probably hit these areas with 80 grit real quick just to flatten them out, and then we'll go up to 180. Once I get this spread, we're going to move this off to the side, and we're going to start on those other wheel skirts. We're going to start block sanding those down. It's good to just keep moving. Rather than sitting here watching this stuff dry, move on to another piece. No point in wasting time. And that's how you get this stuff done, is just to keep moving, keep moving. And before you know it, at the end of the day, you got a lot done. and I know I'm missing a spot. You guys probably see it on the camera, you're probably yelling at me. Oh, right there I didn't mix it good enough. See there's some hardener there? I want to take that off and make sure it's mixed. Because that hardener area will just gum up when you start sanding it. Here's one. I knew I was missing one. All right, I'm gonna pause this, put this off to the side, and I'll go grab a wheel skirt. All right, let's spread a little bit of guide coat on here. Now, even though I usually bake my primer, I let the panels set for about a week before I mess with them again, just to make sure that they're cured. And you'll know when you start block sanding if they're cured or not, because it'll start gumming up on the paper. You'll actually get like little balls of primer on your sanding paper. So if that happens, just stop sanding and let it dry. All right. I'm feeling pretty good about this panel. It's pretty flat. I hit a couple spots of metal, which I'm not worried about. I'm gonna filler prime it again. Right here, I hit a little bit of metal here and here. These skirts are shaped extremely weird. They bow this way to match the car. They also roll this way to match the car. And then these ends flare down. So hitting a little bit of metal here and there, I'm not worried about it because it feels good. These just have a weird shape to them. And I know that because I've done plenty of these. So, and they all seem to block out the same way. And they all seem to look pretty good when they're done. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up around the edges and stuff. I don't know if this one's gonna need much body work. And then I know the other one for sure has a dent somewhere in the middle because I saw it when I put my first coat of primer on. Just completely missed it. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off, finish sanding around the edges, and then I'll be back. Now, as you can tell, none of this is edited. This is how long it actually took for me to sand this down. Maybe 5 minutes, 4 minutes. So it doesn't really take a long time. Just get into it, get it done, and move on. Okay, now all around the edges of these panels, I'm just taking some 180 grit and kind of sanding them out. Just wanted you guys to know how I'm getting these edges smoothed down. Just take some 180 grit with your hand, go around the whole thing and get it smoothed out. Okay, this one's all sanded down. There was one spot down here by the bottom that I had to put a little bit of filler on. It was sand that one more time. And if you look on this rod here, there's filler on it. The rod was pretty pitted up, so I'm just trying to clean up the pits from the rust. So I'm gonna go grab the last one. We'll guide coat that one and block it down. That other one is the one that has a ding in the center of it, so you guys will get to see exactly how well that guide coat works. All right, let's guide coat this one. I just changed my sandpaper again, the 180 grit on the block. It's good to keep changing your paper. I know it costs money, but sharp, new paper cuts straighter, faster. Once it starts getting dull, I think you're kind of defeating the purpose. Because once the paper starts to get dull, you're kind of riding over the surface rather than cutting into the surface. This panel looks like it's pretty good except for that ding, which I see where it's at right there. I'll fill that in real good with some guide coat. And I'll just start blocking this for a couple minutes and then I'll pause the video. I'll show you where this ding is. I don't want to take up too much time block sanding the same pieces over and over. That's that ding I was talking about. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause this. I'm gonna block this down and we'll see how much of that we can get out. Okay, this one's all blocked down and sanded around the edges. That ding, it's only that big. I just started hitting metal there, so it's real small. So I'm gonna mix up a little bit of filler for that, and then we're gonna go back to the first set of wheel skirts that we started. It's been about an hour. That filler should be nice and dry, so we'll get that sanded down. All right, we're gonna start sanding down this real quick. I'm gonna knock most of it down real quick with the 8-inch DA. Most people call it the mud buster. A little bit of a high spot in the metal right there. We're gonna hammer and dolly that down real quick. All right, I'm just gonna take my dolly here and put this underneath the metal. I chose this shape because it kind of resembles the shape of that. Keep a dolly underneath, because if you just start whacking on this without this underneath, this is really gonna go down a lot. We just need it to go down a little bit. That actually feels pretty good. A little bit right here, maybe. All right, I'm happy with that. All right, I'm mixing up some more filler for my last coat. This is the same filler we used the first coat. This is the stuff that says it can go over bare metal. We're not using the other stuff because it does not state that it can go over bare metal, so we're not gonna risk that. Now I'm gonna hit every area one more time with filler. I'm gonna go a little bit wider than I did the first time. And then this will be the last coat. Like I said before, don't worry about filling in the holes. You can just clean them out with a drill bit or a little file if you have one. I did notice a little dip right in this area, so we're going to get that too. Not bad at all, so it should be fine with one coat. The reason why I usually like to put on 2 coats is I like to feather it out a little farther on the second coat. In my opinion, it just makes it turn out a little nicer. So we'll get this coat on and then we'll put the other wheel skirt up here that's in bare metal. Get that sanded down and see what that's like. Now every once in a while you will get lucky and only have to do 1 coat, but it doesn't always seem to work out that way. I like using that 8-inch DA. It really flattens out the body work, and then you can just hit it with some a block afterwards. But it does pretty darn good. I mean, it gets it pretty flat. You got to keep it pretty level to the surface. You know, you got to try to. Takes a little bit of practice. Okay, we're gonna let this dry, and I'll bring that other one over. All right, let's sand this one down. All right, I'm gonna finish feathering this out and we'll put another coat on and then we will move on to the door. All right, put the second coat on this. We're going a little wider than the first one. Now I know some people say that 8-inch DA sander and stuff, oh, you can't get the bodywork flat. It's going to be all wavy when you're done. Well, if you look on my panels that I primer, on the first guide coat and block sanding, they block out pretty flat. I mean, if they were all real ripply, you'd have low spots everywhere, but they block out good. Now this door that I'm getting ready to put up here, I'm not going to use that 8-inch DA on. For that mud work, I'm going to use my little 6-inch straight sander. Inline sander, sorry. With some 80 grit, and then we'll do 180 grit. Just because that 8-inch could grind into all that filler primer pretty bad and into that mud work, so we're not going to do it on that. I just like to do it on the first main coats of body filler. So all right, we're gonna let this one dry. I'm gonna get the door up there and we will move on. Okay, I have some 80 grit on my inline sander. All right, those are all sanded down. They're nice, they feel really good now. Now don't get nervous when you hit bare metal over here. Just because you hit bare metal there doesn't mean you need to put a bunch more filler. That's what a lot of people do, and before you know it, you have the whole entire panel coated when you really don't need to, because once I put 3 more coats of 2K filler primer on here, it's really gonna flatten it out. But okay, I'm gonna stop this video now. It's probably been an hour so far on this video. I'm going to sand this with 180, all the areas that I put the body filler on. And I'm just going to continue to do this with these last couple panels. They're almost about done. I'm probably about 2 hours into it so far. I probably have about an hour to go. I'm going to get all these ready for primer, and then I'll make another video here shortly of me primering them. Like I said, we'll hit all the bare metal areas with epoxy primer, 1 coat, and then we will put the 2K primer on them. I'm only going to sand the 180. I was going to sand the 320, but because I'm going to put on 3 more coats, I'm going to stop at 180, give it something good to bite to, and that'll be our last primering on a lot of this stuff. The 2 bare metal wheel skirts will need a second primering. So, but this door and the first set of wheel skirts will be in their final primering after this. So I'm going to stop this video. Thanks for watching. If you guys like, please like and subscribe, and I will have the primering one up here shortly.